All right, this video is going to help you with your Cornell notes on theme. I'm not going to just publish the PowerPoint because I want you to go through this video with me since I'm not there, and I want you to listen in. So your essential question is, what is the difference between plot and theme? And start with talking about this word, motif. Yes, it spells like motive, but it is not motive. It's called motif. A motif is a recurring idea in a story. And that recurring means that it happens over and over and over and over again in the story. So you start seeing this pattern in the story. Motifs can be expressed in one word as one of the story's main topics. All right, so basically think if you were to summarize like the feeling of that story or one big topic that story carries, that would be the motif. So here are some examples. Love is a motif. That seems to be a lot of that seems to be the motif for a lot of romances. Home, we see that a lot. Family, maybe traditions, loyalty, culture. When we think back to Thank You, Ma'am, and we're thinking about kind of the shoes that come up a lot, we might be thinking about like greed or maybe like survival or maybe desire, something like that. So the theme is the author's central idea or insight into life. It's always going to have something to do with a universal idea or piece of wisdom that can be transposed and applied to many people, not just one person. A theme can be stated or implied. So a lot of the stories that you've read so far, the theme is very obvious, especially when it's stories like fairy tales or maybe fables. But as you're reading more and more complex texts, the themes will be revealed gradually, and you'll oftentimes have to interpret the theme on your own by looking at the other elements of fiction. This is how we discuss theme when we're doing literary analysis. You have to make sure that it's in an entire complete sentence. You're expanding that topic, that motif, and then you're telling me what the author's implied or stated insight is. What is their little piece of wisdom? And you need to make sure that you understand that now that we're reading more complex texts, themes are no longer the moral or the lesson of the story. We're not having authors tell people how to live their lives. That's not what stories are really about anymore. They're so complex that authors humbly understand that they do not know the correct way of living. They're not going to tell you how to live your life. Instead, they have observed life in a way that will maybe give you some insight into how you might want to make your own choices as the reader. So again, not a moral or lesson. That's very, very important because it's been drilled into you that themes are lessons, and that is because that makes it easier to understand when you were younger. But now you have to kind of change that mindset and understand that themes are observations. Again, authors are not trying to tell you how to live your life. All right, and then they also cannot, because they're no longer lessons, they cannot contain the second person pronoun you. All right, so from now on, whenever I say, what's the theme of this story? And you have the word you in the theme, I will be taking off points. All right, I'm going to show you the umbrella technique. And what that is that you will see in your notes a little umbrella. On the inside of the umbrella, you're going to write the motif. And then on the side here, you're going to expand it so that you're giving me the theme of Thank You, Ma'am. So let's sort of think back to what Thank You Ma'am was about. There was a very important part in the story where Mrs. Jones tells Roger that she's done some bad things in her life too. So she can't be the one to judge him. In the end, she also gives him the money so that he no longer has to steal. That he knows that there are people out there who understand him, who's willing to show him that kindness. Um, so we can definitely put kindness and trust as the motifs up here. And then down here, we want to say something like how it is better to get someone to become a better person by showing them kindness rather than punishing them. Rather, whether that punishment is a real physical punishment or an emotional punishment. Because she doesn't necessarily want him to really feel guilty. It's just that when people know that it's the right thing to do, they would feel guilty if they don't choose to do the right thing. All right, so let me show you what that would look like on your paper. I'm going to put kindness and trust up here inside the umbrella in your notes. And then down here on the side, as much as you can fit, and there's a bit of space, it is often easier to get people to grow or improve by showing empathy and kindness rather than punishment. All right, so this is also a very good theme. That kind of maybe makes you think. Here's an example of one from a literature book. And you can kind of see that it has to do with life. It has to do with how people feel towards their country. And it has to be an entire complete sentence. Every man needs to feel allegiance to his native country, whether he always appreciates that country or not. All right, that is it for the theme notes. Make sure you go back and summarize your Cornell notes. And what you want to do, go back, I'll help you out a little bit here. The essential question is, what is the difference between plot and theme? Well, we know that the plot, you already have the definition for that in your plot notes, so you can go look through those and tell me what plot means. And theme is not the same as plot. How is theme different? Well, it doesn't just tell you what the story about, it also tells us what. All right, that's it for this video. You're going to now read the short story 11 and fill out the plot diagram for it. I'll see y'all tomorrow.